Mistake number 7 out of 10 when saving for retirement. In this episode, I'm addressing the question, what mistakes do people make when saving for retirement? Now, there are many mistakes. I've selected the top 10, and this is the 7th mistake people make when saving for retirement. I want you to avoid it or correct this mistake before it's too late. So, my name's Doug Andrew, and I've helped thousands of people prepare for retirement so they don't outlive their money. And many times when people would come to me with their hard-earned money that they've socked away, oftentimes in traditional accounts like IRAs and 401ks, I would look at their money. It was still in the market, and that was the first mistake. It was subject to volatility. They thought they were going to be in a lower tax bracket, and they're not. They follow the herd and put money in traditional IRAs and 401ks, and then they don't start tapping into it at age 59 and a half when they should. They take RMDs at age 70 and a half. Well, here is a big mistake that I witnessed for many, many retirees. They would come to me and they would have saved $400,000, maybe $600,000, sometimes $1 million. I've had people come to me and they've saved $4.6 million. And they make the mistake of thinking that that nest egg is going to sustain them and allow them to not outlive their money at the same standard of living that they've been accustomed to, and all too often it's not nearly enough. And I ask, so what rate of return do you think you will likely average on your nest egg where it's at if you leave your money in those IRAs and 401ks in the market? And many times they would go, well, I earned 7 or 8%. One time I got 12%. I said, do you think you're averaging that? Well, I don't know. My advisor says I'm doing pretty good. I would do an analysis, and I would look at all of their deposits. This is a complicated calculation oftentimes. I would look at all of their deposits, and I would put it into my calculations, my programs, and then I would look at how much they had accumulated, and I would show them that their average return was only like 3.5%. Maybe 4 or 5%. It's not near what they thought it was. And so then they say, well, I've got $1 million. I go, okay. So if you continue to earn 3.5 or 4%, which by the way is the average for most Americans, most retirees who have money in the market are only averaging 3.49% according to the analysts like Delbar. So that means if you wanted to just live off of the interest and not deplete your principal, you should only be pulling out $35,000 a year. That's about $3,000 a month. And people go, well, that's not my lifestyle. I need $100,000 a year. Well, then one of two things need to happen. You need to either be earning 10%, because 10% of $1 million is $100,000 if that's what you're going to withdraw. If you're only earning 3.5 or 4% and you pull out 10%, you will be out of money in less than a decade. You will outlive your money. Well, I thought $1 million was a lot of money. It is. But if you're going to pull out $100,000 a year and you're only earning $40,000 in interest, you're dipping into your principal $60,000, but it's going to go down, down, down quicker, and people outlive their money. Sometimes people have said, well, I have $400,000, I have $600,000. Well, how much money do you need a year to live on? Well, let's see, on top of Social Security, I need at least $50,000. Well, $400,000 isn't going to cut it. You're going to be out of money in less than a decade. Do you have longevity in your family? Oh yeah, my father, my mother, they lived into their 80s and 90s. I said, well, you're going to be relying on Social Security, charity welfare, or your children for support then. And they think, well, I have hundreds of thousands. That's not going to last very long. When you need $60,000, and then because of inflation, in less than 7 years, definitely in less than 10 years, you're going to need $120,000 to buy the same gallons of gas and loaves of bread that 60,000 used to buy because of inflation, which is the mistake number 3. And so the biggest mistake is people thinking that they are going to be able to retire comfortably when they only have a fourth or a third or a half of what they need to have. And that doesn't even account for inflation unless they link their returns, their earning on their money, to inflation so that they can outpace inflation. Most people don't. Most people, like I said, are unfortunately only earning about 3 or 4%, and yet they want to withdraw 8%, and they think somehow magically it's going to last as long as they do. The 2 biggest things that short out people's retirement batteries, so to speak, are taxes and inflation. Because taxes going up, people have to pull out 50% more money in a 33% bracket to have the same net spendable income. Did you understand that? If not, before I explain this, if this is intriguing you and you know somebody who ought to be watching this video because they're making the same mistake, be sure and share, post a comment, click like, subscribe to this 3-Dimensional Wealth channel. I have over 500 educational videos, and I post at least 5 new educational videos every single week. And at the end of this episode, I want to gift you a copy of my most recent best-selling book, The Laser Fund, which will teach you how to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement. Now, let's say you have $1 million nest egg, and you need $100,000 net to buy gas and groceries. You could have gotten by on $50,000 maybe 7 years earlier, but the cost of living has doubled. Now, I've seen gasoline double in the last 100 days since the day of recording this episode. So inflation can be your fuel, your energy, it can be food. But folks, inflation at 10%, which is the true rate of inflation, is over 10%. The cost of living will double about every 7.2 years. So if you thought you could get by on $50,000 in about 7 longer than 10 years, you'll need $100,000 to buy what $50,000 used to buy. To net $100,000 out of a tax-deferred IRA or 401k in a 33% bracket, tax bracket, you have to pull out 50% more money. You have to pull out $150,000, pay tax of a third, 50, to net $100,000. $150,000 is 50% more than 100. This is why people run out of money, because their nest egg isn't big enough. They have to pay tax, and taxes are going up. That shorts out people's retirement batteries. So many financial advisors try to charge up your retirement battery, so hopefully it won't go dead before you do. The other thing that shorts out the battery is inflation, like I've indicated, taxes and inflation. What you need to do to avoid this mistake is save enough money by earning decent rates of return, but get rid of the dangers of taxes and inflation, and you'll be able to have twice the income or twice the rate of return, and you'll be able to be immune from taxes because you're using tax-free vehicles, and you're linking your returns to the things that inflate. So the secret is accumulate more than enough money so you will never outlive your money, but when inflation and taxes cause people to outlive their money, you're immune because your money is not subject to tax. And if inflation goes to 5, hopefully you'll earn 10 or more. If inflation goes to 10, you'll earn 15 or more. That's what I've always been able to do historically, is average returns about 5% greater than the rate of inflation. Outpace inflation. If you want to see actual examples, historical examples of how this works, study and read both of these books. Wait, yeah, this is 2 books. This side, the white side, is about 200 pages, 14 chapters with all the charts and graphs that will help you understand this. How much money you will need so you do not outlive it based upon the rates of return that are like double what most traditional IRAs and 401ks earn. If you learn more by stories and examples, you flip it over and you read this side, 100 pages, 12 chapters with all kinds of stories of clients who have corrected or avoided these mistakes that I'm talking about in this series. So don't make the mistake of thinking that, 400,000 or 600,000 or $1 million is going to cut it unless you plan on dying sooner than later. Folks, empower yourself. Click on the link below, contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll pay for the book. I'll fire it out to you. There's also options there to listen and learn and watch and learn. And I can point you to the financial professionals that can help you establish what I call the laser fund so that you avoid not only this mistake, but all of the other 10 biggest mistakes in this series.